Hi everyone, so welcome to my presentation, how to build and launch things without code. I will share some lessons learned from my story, and we'll do some live coding, live no coding as well. I will try to build some app to demonstrate you the possibilities of today's modern no-code platform. But I would like to start with the definitions, right? Because some of the people who are new to the no-code industry, they say that no-code will replace code, right? But on the other hand, some of the people say that in no-code, the best no-coders are actually coders, the programmers. And this is also my opinion because, you know, no-code is just code, right, under the hood. And the definition I like is that no-code is nothing more like a visual abstraction of software development. And because, you know, in software development, we went through the big mainframe computers in the 60s where, you know, the operator of this computer was a serious engineer in a suit and only he can operate it. And the programming of these computers will look like this. By the way, how many of you recognize what's this? Yes, some of you. Yes, so this was the programming language, like punch cards, putting holes in cards, and then putting in the mainframe computers. And then we went into the personal computers, the computers that are in our homes, in our offices, and modern programming languages. And the thing is that every time the new programming language or the programming interface was introduced, like the people started programming in assembler, and the real programmers were only the programmers who coded in assembler, right? But what about these people who are programming using punch cards? They were treating the programmers who were writing code like not the real programmers, because I do real programming, I'm an engineer, I do punch cards. And then the modern interfaces, right, and the modern languages. And every time the new language is introduced, the simpler one, the fastest one, the people who learned how to code the previous generation languages treat the new ones like it's not the real programming. And you know, no code, like these editors, it's nothing more like another layer of abstraction over the code, the communication with computers. So no code is just visual development. And I mentioned that the best no coders are actually coders because the people who have experience in programming, they can think about the algorithms, they can think about the databases, they have the basics, and they can launch and build things really, really fast compared to the people so-called like citizen developers who had no idea, who had no experience with programming before and just jumped into the no-code and are building blocks. Yeah, so no-code is visual development. My name is Tom and I call myself a no-code developer. I work mainly with those two platforms and I will show you an example of Bubble and Zano today. Of course, there are a lot of no-code, low-code platforms over on the market, starting from the corporate ones like Microsoft Power Apps or OutSystems. I'm not in that space. I'm more like in the space of the so-called software as a service, startups, and so on. So these are more for this, but they also have enterprise plans, and I will also mention that. And my story with the industry started many years ago. In early 2000, I founded my first company. I was creating websites, right? No one was creating websites those days. I was one of the few companies in Poland. Then we transformed into an internet software house, the company that was creating software apps based on the browsers. It was also something new. It was growing and growing. In 2012, we merged into the bigger group. We had over 250 developers on board. Then I quit. I sold my shares. I went into the startup industry. In 2016, I founded an AI company. and we had an idea of an AI assistant that you can communicate with using chat-like interface, which is quite common these days, right? But in 2016 was something new. And all of this has one in common. Every time we wanted to build something, we wanted to launch something, we need a group of people. I mean the programmers, the developers, the front and back end, admins, sysops, testing, right? To build even a simple app. And when the pandemic started, I had plenty of time, as many of us, and I started thinking about the future or what to do. I found this book, Make, Bootstrapper's Handbook. And reading this book changed my mind on how to build and launch software. Previously, as I said, I was used to the type of projects where we needed a group of people working for months to launch something, and also a lot of money from investors or from clients. After reading this book, I found out that these days you can actually build and launch things working on your own or working with a group of 2 or 3 people, having the same or better results like a group of 10 or 15 developers few years ago. And this was also the year I found Bubble, which is a no-code development platform, a full-stack no-code development platform that allows you to build apps, that allows you to build various apps. Bubble is not new. It's on the market since 2012. It has over 4 million apps built since today, 5 billion page views per year, and over 6,000 integrations and plugins. So it's not new, but starting from 2020, 2021, it started to grow very, 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 very fast. What you can build on Bubble? Well, you can build nearly anything because Bubble is just a visual programming language. So starting from startups, this is an example of one of the startups that serves 10K financial institutions in 11 countries and has an app that looks like this. It's a typical web app. If you don't know, you wouldn't say that it was built on the visual development platform. Internal systems, this is a case study of Athena. Instead of hiring a software company, a guy from Athena, he learned how to use Bubble, and he actually built an ERP system in 1 year. And this ERP system right now serves over 1,000 people from Athena. Looks like this. Another type of app that you can build on Bubble. Or some public institutions. This is an example of La Metro, where 3,000 La Metro employees from France uses this app, a mobile and a web app combination, also built on Bubble, to service the water pumps all over the country. So you can build a lot with Bubble, and you can build with speed, and you can build on your own, even if you don't have the knowledge about the backend, the servers, the databases, and so on. Okay, to the point, because the session will be about how to build, so I will show you an example of how we can build something with Bubble. I will switch to the browser. I was thinking about what to build during today's presentation, and I thought that we can build this. This is an agenda of a conference, and during the next 10 or 15 minutes, I will try to build this similar app in Bubble with the search and with all the agenda of today's conference. So this is how Bubble looks. Yeah, it looks like this. This is a full stack development platform. So what's interesting that you don't have to connect any external backend. You don't have to find a hosting server because it's all included. It has a design part. It has a workflow part where you have a logic. It has a database part. I already created one table called session. We will upgrade it in a moment. It has the styles part. I mean, where you work on the design. Plugins, where you can add more and more functionalities to your app using the plugins market store. Of course, some settings and some logs. So Bubble uses the Postgres database, but you don't have a direct access to Postgres database. I mean, setting up database in Bubble looks like this. You've got the data types, which are basically tables, and you've got fields. So we have a session. I will simplify things, of course, for today's session. So each session have name. We'll have speaker. This is how you add fields to the table, and we'll have the date time, right? And this field type is date. As you can see, we have a number of field types included. You have, of course, an access to the app data. And what I did yesterday in the evening, I took the source of this page, and I've asked Claude to transform it to CSV, right, for us not to write it down. I think it's pretty good, so I will upload this data right now into the database. And so we'll have some example data. We need to map fields, so the session name, the timestamp, and validate this data and upload data. Yep, so the data is being uploaded and processed. Of course, it may be not 100% accurate, but I checked that my session is there, so it's the most important thing, yes? So it should be okay. And now let's go to the design part. I've copied the colors from this, so we'll use the background, and now we will create a simple design for our app to look similar to this one, right? So we'll have a central group that hosts all the session. We'll have a list of sessions inside this group. We've got a number of elements that are here. I mean, the containers, the visual elements, the form elements, and you can add more using plugins. The basic one is just a repeating group, which is a list of things, and this will be our sessions. And the data source for this is the database query. Do a search for session. This is how we do queries in Bubble. And after this, we have the data in the list. Of course, I will add also a filter to sort by date time, right? And now we need to display this data, so I will add a group inside this repeating group, and I will display a data here. And what we will display, we have a name, we have a session name, and we have a speaker, right? So only these three information. We'll put the text here, so we'll have we need to map also that this group holds session. The data source is current source session, and this also holds session, and the data is here. And I will start with putting out the names, parent group session name. And this should give us the list of all the session with the names. And what we also have here is the immediate preview of what we are building. So when we go to this page, we have the preview of what we are building. See, all the session is displayed. What we need to do, of course, is to add some margins and also include not only the session name, but the speaker as well. So we'll have the session name. Under this will be the speaker. And we'll also have the date and the hour, right? So here we will put on the left, we will put the session, parent group session, date time, and from this we will extract hour. So to do this, we only need to use the formatted as operator. This will look like this. And under this, we will put the date time day, right? So it will be November. And this should be in rows, so next to each other. We can preview this, and so in 5 minutes we've got the basic agenda. which doesn't look like this, but we can of course apply some styling. What I will now do to make it look better, and then we can go into the more interesting part. I mean, putting more life into this data. So this will be like this, and the session name will be maybe, yep. And this will be like this. And I will also add some colors to look like the agenda, right? Okay, this is how it looks like right now. And it's sorted by date. What we are missing here is the search box, and adding this is also pretty simple here in Bubble. So because what we need to do, okay, so we need to add the input, which is one of the elements, and this will be our search box. And to the list of the things, we will use the filter. Right now it's sorting, but we will add the constraint that it should filter through the data that we've put into the input field, right? So we'll add the filter that this session name, let's make it lowercase, contains the thing that we've put into the input field. Input value, also lowercase. Yeah, so it will filter through name. And let's take a look at this. What science? If it works. Yeah. And we'll also add a possibility to filter by the session author. So, or this session speaker, lowercase, contains the thing that we've put into the input field, value, lowercase. So right now, you can go on this page and search for my session. Yep, it's here. So this is the basic on how you can build a simple app like this. Of course, we can add more. We can add grouping, filtering. It's that simple. This was just a demonstration. And we will also add to make it look the same. Yeah, we'll add this. And what's nice with Bubble, it's that you don't have to, to figure out how to deploy it, how to work with versions, and so on. If you go to this page, this is actually live what I'm building. So you can scan this right now, and you can follow me as I build, because we still got some time. So we'll add more things to this app. Possibly it can work. It can look strange on mobile phone. We'll check it right now. Okay, ready? Let's go back to the editor, and yeah, let's check how it looks in the mobile. Not that bad. Yeah, we can. Here you have the display of how it looks like on the different screens, and you know what I'm missing here with this agenda app. There's one very important thing that is missing. Voting for your favorite presentation, right? So my app will have this voting. I will add it right now so you can vote for your favorite presentation. How do we do it? So let's start with the database. We'll add the new field, and it will be number of votes. It will be number. And we'll also add a list of users that voted, right? So you can vote only one. This is a relation between table users, which is built in Bubble, and the table I created. This is how you create relations, right? So now I have a relation with one-to-many, And interesting thing that you don't have to handle the users, the sessions, the logins, because Bubble has its built-in. You will see how it looks like. And every time I do something here, you will see that this page was just updated. Please refresh the page. You can experience this on your phone because it's version test. All the changes are immediately deployed. We can, of course, separate versions because we have versioning, branches, also built in the editor. So if you work on something, you don't have to put clients on the version test. You can put it on the version live, which is only changed, for example, once a day. Okay, so let's add this voting. I will add the heart icon, which is also built in. You don't have to look for it. So it will be the icon. It will be here in this group and mail last. Yep. And now we can add workflow to this. I mean the logic, right? So every time the user clicks on the heart button, we'll increase the number of votes and add this user to the table that voted. And if he clicks again, we will subtract, right? So we click on item, we are adding workflow, and when icon is clicked, when parent group session list of users contains current user, because it's built in, we don't have to deal with it, we are adding action. And here you have a bunch of built-in actions, I mean functions that you don't have to program, you can choose from, and you can also add more using plugins, right? So yeah, I will use the built-in function, make changes to things, so update the record in the database, the session, and we will add the current user to a list of users that voted, and we will increase the number of votes. Number of votes is this session, number of votes plus 1. Yep. And if user, this is if contains, right? So we should copy and paste the same. So if doesn't contain user, we will add votes. If contains user, we will subtract votes and remove the current user. Yep. So, and we'll also add here the visibility that you voted on this thing. You can use the conditional part, and you can change the behavior or visibility of this icon. If parent group session list of users contains current user, this icon will be different, right? It will be filled. So we have a filled icon, heart. Yep. And what I will also, yeah, we can check if it works. Of course, what you need to do is to find my session and click here. Yeah, works for me. And we can, of course, also change the filter to sort through number of votes, right? So the top ones will be at the top. And this is how the upgraded app looks like. It's similar to this, don't have this, and don't have all the data because I didn't scrape it. And so this is for you to understand and to demonstrate you how fast you can build web apps with Bubble and how you can launch it with ease, right? Bubble got the built-in plans, the lower cost $30 per month, and on this $30 per month we can do nearly anything. The only limits are the capacity, and you can add more capacity on the go. So no complex licensing like on Microsoft Power Apps when you need to have the master's degree on how the licensing works. I still don't, so I use Bubble. Yeah. So yeah, we are on time. Maybe you have some questions right now. If not, we can move on. But maybe some questions till now. Okay.
What do you think about there's a new app called Bot that new? I don't know if you know about it.
Which one? The bot. The bot. It's like cursor, right? The waiting.
It's a
Mhm.
just with prompt.
Yeah. So the question is about the apps that you can build with prompts.
Yeah.
They're cool, but the thing with all these prompting apps is that you don't have the full control over the views, right? You can build a simple app, you can build the logic and so on, but when you want to work on when you want the app look and feel exactly that you want, it's very hard with these prompting apps. I mean, you can put some styling on it and so on, but the thing is that working with the design on the visual editor like this, it's still easier than changing prompts. For example, I can write prompt, take this date and change the color to red and change the size to 24 pics, right? But easier thing is just to do it, right? So I believe in the conversational interfaces. I mean, I founded a company that relies on the conversational interfaces. But the thing is that I also believe in combining, point and click interfaces, conversationals, prompts, and visuals. Because some things are still faster to click, to point and click, than to say. And you still need to know what to say, right? Sometimes it's hard to define the prompt properly. But I will have also the mention of it in the later part of the presentation. Yeah, so of course we can work more on this, but I will. Yeah, it looks good. I will leave it like this. You can add pop-ups and so on and so on. So making a one-on-one copy of this in Bubble will take not 15 minutes, but about an hour. But it's still an hour, right? Not a day. And this is the thing with Bubble, that it speeds up the development. And you also have some more advanced things like connecting to APIs, exposing APIs with just making one click. So you can expose your data as an API to the other apps, adding more through plugins, writing your own plugins because it's pure JavaScript, so you can add more functionalities with plugins. So this is why Bubble is so popular, because basically it doesn't have limits in terms of what you can build with Bubble, including web apps and mobile apps, because mobile editor was just introduced. It's in beta, but you can build React Native mobile apps with Bubble as well. By the way, I'm not working on Bubble, and I'm not a Bubble employee. They are not paying me for it, because after the last presentation in Krakow, I had one guy approached me and started to discussing about the app I've built, the Bubble. No, I'm not the Bubble founder. I just like Bubble, right? So my lessons learned and common no-code misconceptions. The first thing is the scalability, right? Some people say that no-code won't scale. So the first thing, that 99% of apps will never have this problem, because 99% of apps that people are launching never exceed, let's say, 1,000 users. If so, still Bubble as a monolith, as a full-stack development platform, can handle it. This is an example of apps that holds 50 million records and has run 4.2 billion workflows, and still on Bubble. But Bubble is not the only one. The second one I would like to show you is Zano. The difference between Bubble and Zano is that Zano is only a backend, but it's super powerful, super fast, and can handle a lot of data. So if you already have a front end, or someone else is working on front end, instead of setting up the backend, the servers, the database, you can use Zano. Zano is nothing more like Postgres on steroids. So you've got the visual interface to manage the Postgres database, but you've also got the APIs. So you can easily build APIs and expose APIs, taking from the database, also using some pre-programmed functions. Database requires manipulation, security, caching, functions. If you don't have any function that was built, you can use Lambda function and write your own. And it's super fast and super powerful. I I'm using Zano for some of my projects. One is a time tracking tool. I designed it for the people who work with no-code editors, and it gathers a lot of data about the timestamps of what changed. So I used Zano because it's simply when you have a lots of data, it's simply cheaper than scaling in Bubble. So this is the 1 month example on the lowest plan of Zano, and this is the server capacity. It's still at its lows. It never exceeds 10% with these amounts of data. Super powerful, and a lot of software developers love Zano because of its possibilities. I don't know. Yeah, I can show you how it looks like. So yeah, so this is Zano. We've got database tables. It's more like more understandable for the people who work with databases. So far, we can show table relationships here and the APIs, right? So you've got the APIs groups, and if you want to create some API endpoint, of course, there are some pre-programmed like CRUD database operation, but we can add the custom endpoint. Let's make it test, post. You can add authentication as you want. And then you've got the inputs. You can add inputs easily. So, for example, text, data, and function. And here you have a list of functions to operate with your backend, starting with data manipulation, loops, math functions, operating arrays, and so on, manipulating databases. It's more like writing SQL, right? Because if you, for example, set up a query on records, you can use joins on the tables, you can use custom queries where, for example, project type is input text data. So it's more like not for the people who never been developers. It was designed for the developers. So if you are looking for a backend solution to create an app, I strongly encourage you to try out Zano because it's super powerful, and you will fall in love with Zano for sure. And Zano can be also used if you have some more demanding projects in terms of architecture, because the second misconception is that no-code is only for simple web pages. So this is okay. So this is I don't know, 2012. Maybe 15 years ago it was like this, that no-code is for simple web pages. It's no longer valid. Firstly, if you use the full-stack development platform like Bubble, you not only have the editor, but you've got the data and backend API that you can expose to communicate with other systems. So when you are using Bubble, you don't care about the infrastructure because it's all built in, as well as the platform security. But you can introduce some separate backend, like Zano, and use Bubble as a front end and switch this layer of data and external APIs to your backend, which is Zano. And this opens us to the new possibilities, because as I said, you can use Zano with any front end, right? So Zano exposes APIs, you can connect your front end to Zano, and you can use it to connect to multiple front ends as any backend that you will program, right? And I've used it for when I was working with this time tracker solution. One day, one of the users reached out to me and said, "Hey, let's build something called no-code leaderboard, where will be the leaderboard of the people and GitHub-like graph showing how much they engage in the editors." And we did it using one backend. And this is how it works. This is how the simplified architecture is. So first we've got the Chrome plugin, which was written by ChatGPT, by the way. And we've got the first front end, which is Chloe, the app that tracks things, and users have their own dashboards there that they can log in. And we've got the second front end, which is the no-code leaderboard, the leaderboard that anyone can open and see the performance of how you perform. I mean, of course, if you allow them to do so. So we've got the 2 Bubble apps and 1 Zano backend, and this data from the tracking can be also exposed as API to any other systems. Actually, some of the agencies that are using this tracker are using this API to build their own frontends and their own dashboards. And yeah, and of course, some external APIs like logging, OpenAI integration, mails, all handled by Zano. If you are looking for some more advanced use cases, this is one of the use cases that one of the French agencies built. Also, whole backend is on Zano, but it's hosted on Azure. I mean, with Zano Enterprise Plan, you can bring your own clouds, host it on your own cloud. The front end is on Retool, which is another no-code platform for building front ends. And all apps, config, and backend are versioned and in the standard Git feature branch model. So you can build really, really advanced apps. This is a multi-tenant apps for multiple countries, and this is a corporate app. So as I said, it uses the cloud of the client. If you are looking for more use cases like this, I run a YouTube channel where I interview no-code founders from all over the world. And if you would like to check out, you can go to the YouTube and check out use cases of very advanced app built with no-code, not only Bubble, many technologies. I did it, a couple of months ago to prove that it can be used for very complex use cases. And the third misconceptions: you can't build X with no-code. This is, of course, not true. I mean, if you are working with really, really deep tech, I mean, you are building another OpenAI, or you are in medtech and you are thinking about how to cure a cancer, you won't use the no-code platform, right, for this, maybe for displaying data. But for 95% of the applications that are on the market and will be on the market, you can use these no-code platforms to speed up the time to market. The main limitation is that most of the no-code platforms means cloud. So if you want on-premise, you need to look for the platform that you can install on-premise. For example, you cannot do it with Bubble. You can do it with Zano and Enterprise Plan. But you know, Bubble and Zano are just a small part of the whole no-code market. And the second limitation that we may face is the platform lockdown. Because Bubble uses its own logic, Zano uses its own logic. What will happen if Bubble will shut down? So the good news is that they said that they won't shut down, right? If they do, they said that they will open source the whole platform. This is, of course, a promise. We may trust it or not. By the way, Bubble was backed up by VCs, $100 million US dollars last year, and they are moving really fast since then. But of course, there is a risk. Firstly, if you believe that code base is a value. For me, I mean, I'm in this industry for over 24 years. Code is no longer a value. I mean, you can launch things so fast, you can iterate so fast, and you can rewrite. I mean, every code base needs to be rewritten every few years, right? So the value right now is time to market, having clients, and speed, not the code base. But if you believe in code base, you can look for some no-code solutions that doesn't have this platform lockdown. For example, Supabase as a database in the backend, which is an open source, you can host it on your own, or WeWeb as a front end, where you can take your code and host it on your own as well. I mean, this platform lockdown has, of course, advantages and disadvantages. For one of us, it may be an advantage, and for others, disadvantage. But if you are looking for the platforms that doesn't lock you down, these are the two examples. So, what is the future of code, and what is the future of no code? I mean, is no code eating the software world? The predictions are that 80% of business apps in a few years will be created by low-code developers, so-called citizen developers, managers, not coders. On the other hand, AI is the new UI. You've mentioned that. Prompting your apps becoming more and more popular. So the conversation is the new UI. The way we interact with computers, it's not only the mouse, but also the natural language, the conversation. So is no code eating the software world? The question should be, is AI eating the software world, right? Many people are afraid that AI or no code or AI will take over our jobs. We won't be needed, the developers won't be needed in the world where anyone can build the app. So let me show you an example. Probably you know this logo, right? Who knows this logo? Everyone, right? WordPress. So when WordPress was introduced, it was the same, right? The people who are building websites, my company was one of them. First, it was treating WordPress like a piece of shit. It's not real. It's buggy. It doesn't allow you to build real things. The thing is that over years, this is the percentage of non-CMS websites over time. In 2013, when websites started, nearly 70% of websites didn't have their own CMS because building a content management system on the websites was complicated and cost a lot of money. Yeah? So most of the websites were static. It has changed. Right now, it's below 30%. Most of the pages are built on WordPress or on Webflow. The other thing is that it caused an increase of demand of the people who wanted their own websites. So anyone can build on WordPress, right? Anyone can build their own website on WordPress. But if everyone wants to do it, not really, right? So what happened with WordPress, it increased the demand, it built a whole new market for services around WordPress. It opened a new market for the new platforms like Webflow, right? It's really powerful, and it's a huge ecosystem around Webflow. Who builds a website in pure HTML these days? I mean, a couple of people, right? But most of them are switched to Webflow or WordPress, or switched to more serious development. So what I believe is that this whole no-code AI prompting movement will increase demand for software development. Of course, we will have these stories that how I accidentally created a generative AI tool that made 70,000 in 2 months. This is, by the way, the real story. It's a friend of mine who created an audio pen on Bubble in 1 weekend, and it popped up. It translates your speech into text and creates beautiful notes from it. It was the right moment, right timing. Someone discovered it, and it went like crazy. So anyone can build app, right? Anyone can create software these days. But the thing is that not everyone wants to be a developer, right? We are in a bubble, we are developers, but 99% of normal people, they just want to have their life and they just want to do their own business. They don't want to build software, right? So they will come to the developers who are building software, they will come to the agencies. The thing, what we can do is to take these possibilities, use the no-code platforms, use the AI copilots or prompting engines, and this multiplied by our imagination, this will allow us, to build stuff easily and fast. And this is actually what we want right now. So thank you very much. This is my LinkedIn. If you want to connect, I will be very happy.